A Good Night's Sleep by Sarah Glasscock, illustrated by Elizabeth Wolfe. Page 3. Daniel was deep in a dream about riding his skateboard. All the sidewalks were smooth, and he never fell off on troublesome curves. "Strike one!" he heard his older brother, Liam, shout. Daniel awoke with a start. Struggling to sit up, he got tangled in the covers. He fell to the bedroom floor, which, fortunately, was carpeted. "Strike two!" Liam shouted. Daniel crawled over to Liam's bed. His brother was dreaming and shouting in his sleep. "Wake up!" Daniel said as he gently shook his brother's shoulder. Liam twitched and then rolled over. "Strike three!" he shouted, still sleeping soundly. It was no use. Daniel dragged his covers downstairs and went to sleep on the couch. Again. Page 4. It seemed that only a few minutes had passed when Daniel's dad shouted, "Daniel Baxter, rise and shine!" Daniel buried his head under the pillows, but Dad pulled them off right away. "You certainly enjoy sleeping down here on the couch," Dad remarked. "I can't sleep upstairs because—" Daniel began. "What would you like for breakfast, cereal or scrambled eggs?" Dad interrupted. "We had cereal yesterday, so—" Daniel began. Dad rubbed Daniel's head roughly. "Cereal it is, then." "Dad, I can't sleep upstairs because Liam shouts in his sleep," Daniel said. But his father had disappeared into the kitchen. Page 5. At breakfast, Daniel's parents and Liam talked cheerfully and loudly. In a normal voice, Daniel said, "Liam talks in his sleep." "Liam loves to talk," Daniel's mother agreed. "But he talks all night long," Daniel protested. Dad reached over to rub Liam's head. "You can't stay up all night talking, kiddo. You've got to get to sleep." "I'm the one who's not getting any sleep," Daniel complained. "Look at the dark circles under my eyes." Mom tilted Daniel's chin. "How did you get a black eye?" "Actually, your eye looks perfectly fine. Who did you say hit you?" "Oh, Mom," said Daniel quietly. "You're not listening." Page 6. That morning, Daniel fell asleep in math class. When Mrs. Fabriano tapped his shoulder, he jerked awake. "This is the third time this week you've fallen asleep, Daniel," Mrs. Fabriano said. Mrs. Fabriano was Daniel's favorite teacher, and he hoped she wasn't disappointed in him. "My brother talks in his sleep," he explained. Mrs. Fabriano nodded in sympathy. "And he keeps you awake? Have you talked to your parents?" Daniel's eyelids began to feel extremely heavy. "They don't listen very well." "What can you do to make them pay attention?" Miss Fabriano asked. Page 7. Strumming his fingers on the desk, Daniel thought about different ways to reach his parents. He could tape record Liam talking in his sleep. Then he could sneak into his parents' bedroom and play the tape for them. At 3 o'clock in the morning. No, that might be going too far. In a few seconds, Daniel snapped his fingers. "I know," he thought. "They love to look at paintings. I'll draw them a picture." Daniel drew 2 twin beds, showing Liam sound asleep in one bed and himself wide awake with his hands over his ears in the other bed. Then he added a speech balloon coming out of Liam's mouth that read, "Strike two!" Page 8. Before setting the table for dinner, Daniel slipped the drawing under a magnet on the refrigerator. "I drew a picture for you and Dad," he told his mother. "It contains a message." Mom examined the picture until the water for the macaroni started to boil over. "It looks like we have a problem," she said as she reduced the heat under the pot. Daniel sighed in relief. He thought that his problem was about to be solved. He was wrong. At dinner, the talk revolved around Liam. "You're talking in your sleep about striking out, Liam," Mom said. "You must be worried about your batting." Liam held out his empty plate. "The only thing I'm worried about is whether I can have seconds," he said. Page 10. Daniel tried one more thing before he trudged upstairs to bed and another night of fitful sleep. He slid the drawing in front of the newspaper his father was reading. "What do you see in my picture, Dad?" Daniel asked. Ruffling Daniel's hair, Dad glanced at the drawing, then continued to read. "I know you're worried about your brother, but don't lose any sleep over it. He's not going to strike out in the big game this weekend." Daniel gave his father a long look. "Dad, there's a black widow spider crawling across the floor," he said. Dad didn't even move his legs. "That's great, Daniel. Good night," he said. Page 11. The next day, Mrs. Fabriano asked Daniel if his plan had been successful. When he confessed that it had not, she said it was time to try his second plan. But Daniel didn't have a second plan. Although he thought about what to do all morning, nothing came to him. Page 12. Then, as Daniel listened to Mrs. Fabriano tell the class about the Pony Express, it hit him. He would write a letter to his parents. He would even put it in an envelope, stamp it, and send it through the mail. Daniel got to work right away. "Dear Mom and Dad, Liam talks very loudly in his sleep. Since I share a room with him, this means that I cannot sleep. I have fallen asleep 3 times this week in class. We have a problem that needs to be solved. Your sleepless son, Daniel." Daniel mailed his letter when he walked past the post office on his way home. Page 13. Daniel's letter was delivered while the family was at Liam's softball game. Liam did not strike out. When the family got home, Dad took the mail into the room. He called the family office because it had a desk, a computer, and cardboard boxes filled with papers and files. Page 14. Lurking in the hallway, Daniel listened attentively. His father's chair creaked, which meant he was reading. Really reading. The mail. Then the creaking stopped. "Abby!" Dad called. "We have a problem!" Abby was Daniel's mother's name. Dad opened the office door and stuck his head outside. "Daniel, come in." When Mom wheeled into the office, Dad handed her the letter. Daniel and his dad were silent as she read it. "Oh, Daniel, I'm sorry," Mom said. Liam wandered in. "What's going on?" he asked. Dan turned to a stack of boxes and picked one up. "Everybody grab a box and take it to the garage." Page 16. Daniel needs his own bedroom, because you talk in your sleep, Mom told Liam. "So we're going to turn the family office into Daniel's bedroom," Dad added. "That means you'll get your own bedroom too." "Cool," Liam said. "Where do you want to put your bed, Daniel?" But Daniel didn't answer. He was already fast asleep in his new bedroom. The end.